couple days ago, I did a video about how somebody drew with chalk on a playground a bunch of swastikas and other offensive words relating to Nazis, and it was investigated as a hate crime by New York State Police. That is going to be included, very likely, in a list of hate crimes. Why did Jussie Smollett allegedly engage in a hate crime? A hoax. Why did he allegedly hoax hate crime himself? Well, some people say, the police, for instance, it was for more money because he wanted to make himself a sympathetic figure and give himself brand power, and there's a lot of reasons for it. We're living in a time where people will accuse you of privilege and all these things, yet people are so privileged that you have to pay people to oppress you. Or in this story, you see the headline? I'm sure you've read it already. LGBT activist burned down his home because he was annoyed there was no prejudice to campaign against. Okay, first, let's be rational. There are hate crimes. They do exist, and they're real ones, not like someone drawing with chalk on the ground. I can't believe that's included in a database. But you also have to recognize, and I'll pull it up right here, fakehatemap.com. We can see you've got all these little pegs all over the place. And again, some of them are in the Pacific Ocean for some reason, and even in Europe, and even in Israel. Fake hate crimes happen. Now, I don't know what the percentage of actual hate crime reporting is a hoax. There's a few issues. This is a list of 617 stories, not all of which are likely to be hate crimes. There may be duplicates. On fakehatecrime.org, there are duplicates. Like the Jussie Smollett story appears several times. But these are just the ones we know about. So there's always something you need to consider. If we've proven a hate crime to be a hoax, that means there are many that we likely haven't. So it's never less, it's always more. I'm not saying it's much more. I'm not saying it's prevalent. It may still be extremely rare. The point is, if we have 600 out of we have 7,000 instances in 2017-ish. If 600 were proven false, it means in all likelihood that there's more that were false we just didn't prove. We don't know what that number could be. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 50, who knows? The point is, there is enough. And, well, let's just read the story. The point I'm trying to make is, we're actually at a point now where people want to be oppressed, okay? There was no prejudice to campaign against, so they burned their own house down. An LGBT rights activist burned down his house because, well, that's the title, according to police. Nikki Jolly, 54, is accused of faking the August 2017 fire, which killed his 2 dogs and 3 cats because he'd been left bored after the passage of a non-discrimination law in Jackson, Michigan, where he lives. This is an addiction. These people are, listen, why does the SPLC claim there's more hate than ever when that's actually not true? There's less violent crime. There's less hate than ever. It's because they have to. It's because they make money off of it. There are people who have dedicated their whole lives to fighting this fight. What do you do when you win? The soldier who has to come home from war, constantly looking for the battle. It's a reality. My dad was a firefighter for a very, very long time. I don't think I think he retired. I don't think he's working in an official firefighter capacity anymore outside of consulting. But he told me that some firefighters wish for fires. And it's like almost like a mental disease. Because you want to be in the action. You want to save lives. You want to save the day. So you sit there hoping a fire happens, and it's horrifying that you get that mentality. Otherwise, you're just sitting around. You're not needed. People want to feel useful. They want to feel a sense of purpose. What happens? Well, might as well burn down their own home, they believe. That's what they've done. Afterwards, 2 church officials who worked alongside Jolly told police he'd been disappointed the Jackson Pride Parade held 5 days before the fire hadn't received more attention or protests. Hadn't received protests. They want the conflict. They thirst for the conflict. This is a photo. It says Nikki Jolly's accused of burning down his home, killing his 2 dogs and 3 cats because he was annoyed at the lack of anti-LGBT prejudice for him to campaign against. They don't want there to be equality. This individual, I'm not saying all, this individual wanted people to show up and insult them and yell at them. They hunger for the fight and the conflict. According to cop Aaron Grove, who interviewed those workers, Barbara Shelton and Bobby James, they described Jolly as very deceptive and as having layers of manipulation. Jolly, a transgender man, had married girlfriend Chris Moore shortly before the fire, which prompted a $58,000 fundraising effort for the couple. He took to Facebook 2 days after, telling supporters, yes, be angry, be very angry. Use that anger to force good. Use that anger to make change. But police were already turning their attentions to Jolly after discovering he had bought $10 of gas at a local marathon store on the morning of the fire. And we can see here, there's the aftermath of the fire. Jolly, whose local paper awarded him Citizen of the Year 2017 for his work on advancing LGBT rights, said he had done so to cut the grass. Wait, what? Said he had done so to cut the grass. But his version, for the lawnmower. But his version of how he had spent the gasoline for the lawnmower. But his version of how he had spent the day meant there was only a 5-minute window for any arsonist to break into his home, douse it with fuel, and set it ablaze. Traces of gasoline were also found on the equality campaigners' clothes, the Detroit News reported. Well, let's pull up the Detroit News because I want to figure out, I don't know, did they say where this took place at? That doesn't have the location. Because I immediately assumed it was the UK, but I thought that was kind of weird. Detroit makes more sense. Jolly is said to have refused to confirm or deny setting the blaze at the rented home during a subsequent police interview. The arson suspect, who made his first appearance in court earlier this month, has since denied setting the fire deliberately. His attorney, Daniel Barnett, said Jolly was happy with the level of attention he'd received. Barnett added, "It doesn't make sense. He was Citizen of the Year. There was plenty of media coverage already before the fire." The attorney also drew attention to Jolly's campaigning and highlighted how much he had done for the cause of LGBT rights in Jackson. So it looks like, okay, so this is Jackson. And this is Jackson, Michigan, I guess? Yeah, I don't know. Well, here's the actual story, and we've got more photos, it looks like, from court. Jackson gay rights leader accused of burning down own home. And this is the Detroit News, so I'm going to assume it's in the Detroit area. So, when the home of Nikki Jolly burned down in 2017, killing 5 pets, the FBI investigated as a hate crime. Did this make the list of hate crimes in 2017? When the report came out for 2017, we're only hearing about this now. Think about this. This may imply, and again, this is an individual being accused. I believe they're innocent until proven guilty. I don't know where we're at in the court. So this is Jackson, Michigan. Okay, so this is in Michigan. I don't know where we're at in terms of court, but let me say, the police investigated this as a hate crime, which means it likely was added to the list of reported hate crimes in 2017. That list was completed, published in 2018. It is now 2019, and we are hearing this individual is being accused of hoaxing it. Is this hoax hate crime then a confirmed hate crime on that list? Should it be stricken? And are there other hoax hate crimes that have now since been discovered that should be stricken as well? This is a huge problem in trying to actually understand what's going on. Psychopathic individuals who kill their own pets because they were bored. They wanted the fight. After all, the transgender men and gay rights activists had received threats after having a banner year in the conservative town. In the prior 6 months, he helped open the city's first gay community center, organized the first gay festival after 18 years of failed attempts, helped lead a bruising battle for an ordinance that prohibits discrimination against gays. For his efforts, a local paper named him Citizen of the Year. Well, let's see where they go. Authorities later determined the fire was intentionally set, but the person they arrested came as a shock to both supporters and opponents of the gay rights movement. It was the Citizen of the Year, Nikki Jolly. "It's embarrassing," said Travis Trombley, a gay resident who fought for the ordinance. "How do you do it to the community you have put so much effort into helping?" Why Jolly 54 would allegedly burn down his home remains a mystery. He didn't own the house, which was insured by its owner, police say. His attorney said the lack of a motive casts doubt on the case. Meanwhile, a police investigative report suggests a possible reason for the fire. 2 people who worked with Jolly at St. John's United Church of Christ, where the Jackson Pride Center was located, said he had been frustrated the controversy over gay rights had died down with the passage of the non-discrimination law, according to the report. The church officials, Barbara Shelton and Bobby James, when asked by police about a possible motive for the fire, said Jolly was disappointed the Jackson Pride Parade and Festival, held 5 days before the blaze, hadn't received more attention or protests. This is what we read before. Contacted by a reporter, James declined to comment, but Shelton quibbled with the way police characterized her remarks, saying she had no idea if Jolly was frustrated by the lack of controversy. "Not sure I said that," she wrote in an email. "I have no idea about anything. Never heard Nikki comment in any fashion about anything like that." So this could be BS. But while I'm not one to just blindly support a police narrative, I think if the police are going to, in court, say, here's the evidence, it was intentionally set, there was no window for an arsonist to come in, and this individual, Nikki Jolly, had gasoline on their clothes, I think we're looking at some evidence. Keep in mind, for those that are familiar with my work, I've actually contributed to exonerating an individual who was falsely arrested and the police lied under oath. So I will reserve that too. And if this turns out to be a case of police framing somebody, well, then we've got a serious problem. But I'd like to point out with the Justice Smollett case and the fact that there are hoax hate crimes, there are individuals who likely fit this bill. They want the fight. They're even described as having good intentions by some people on the left. But let's also point to the fact that hate crimes are much more likely to be real than fake. So if there is a reason to believe that the police have framed this individual, then let's pursue that. Let's find justice, and this person should be presumed innocent. We'll see what happens. Let's just see how the Detroit News wraps up. And then we'll, much longer story for the Detroit News. Well, I guess that's it. Whatever. They say it took 13 months for an arrest to be made in the case. Police had tried to charge Jolly earlier, but prosecutors wanted more evidence, according to the police report. During the long investigation, rumors swirled through Jackson. Just as the city had been divided over the non-discrimination law, it was split over who was responsible for the fire. Jolly's arrest hasn't necessarily settled the issue. Some residents refuse to entertain the notion he could be guilty. There's no path for me to believe it could ever be true, said Elodie Samuelson, a bisexual who's raised money for Jolly after the fire. There's no way he did it, not a bit, not a chance. But some one-time supporters are beginning to waver, especially after Tulloch obtained a copy of the police report through a public records request and posted on a website. Jeff Graves, a drag queen who put on a show to raise money for Jolly, said he was alarmed by details of the investigation. If Jolly is found guilty, Graves said he will try to get the donations back. I feel as though I was used for a money scam. It hurt, and it still does. We'll see what happens. Let's just end by saying innocent until proven guilty, and we'll see how things go. So I'll leave it there. Stick around. I'll have more videos coming up on this channel at 1 p.m., and I will see you then.